You all look so amazing today. Thank you all so much for coming out.
Thanks.
Melora.
Are these on?
Oh, these
yes?
are on.
Are they? Okay.
No. Hello? Yeah.
Can everyone hear?
We're going to be sharing these microphones, so
Yes.
I'll be...
Great.
We can share.
Hey, Melora, quick question. When Beyonce calls, you answer.
My thoughts exactly.
It's a good way to show a character's power, don't you think?
Definitely. Holly and Sarah, could you guys give us a little rundown from how this series came to fruition? Because it's so incredibly unique.
Definitely. So let's start with Holly, because the origin story starts with her then before it got to me.
Sure, and since we're sharing, I saw someone down here with a Bloody Mary.
Ah, there's my girl. I was like, that's up for sharing too? Fantastic. The editor-in-chief of Cosmopolitan at the time, Joanna Coles, and I had been on an all-day shoot with Katy Perry shooting a global cover for Cosmo, as one does, yes, for all 60 international editions. And we took the team out that night to celebrate what was a sort of epic day. And as we do when we're in LA, we grab sort of everyone we know and say, hey, if you're around, come. And a friend of mine brought David Bernard, who's an executive producer on the project, and he said, let's make a show. And I sort of thought, and sure enough, he was in my office 2 weeks later and stayed in the Cosmo offices for a week and was like, we're doing this. And so we sort of put the idea together, and Freeform came along, and Sarah came along, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
So David Bernard, I met with him, and he had told me he had a couple ideas, and I was like, and then he's like, and I'm working with Cosmopolitan, and I like leapt off the couch, and I was like, I want that, I'm taking that. I talked to Joanna and Holly the next day. I flew myself out to New York and embedded myself for the story. I spent time in the Cosmo fashion closet and just was so inspired, not just by the world, but what a powerful and amazing leader Joanna is, and I just wanted to show a character like that, a strong woman on TV, and also her entire staff, these just incredible women. I just thought it would make such a wonderful show, and it did.
I love that you mentioned the fashion closet, because for all of our actresses up here, is that closet as amazing in person as it looks on screen?
Every time, okay, I'll hold the microphone, hi. Every time we all walk in there to do a scene, like inevitably they'll be trying to rehearse and we're like trying on a fur coat, like, can I make this work? I don't know. And so we all love it in there.
And I think like you'll see a lot of scenes throughout the season of us being in there and having conversations like we were having where I'm trying on the sunglasses and stuff. And that stuff literally just comes from us being in the closet fiddling with everything. And the director's like, ooh, do that in the scene. And I'm like, okay, you want me to play with things? I will.
That's actually, oh God, I feel like I should just, can I have both actually?
Yeah.
I feel like that's actually a lot of the scenes we get in there and we have an opportunity to play, and we're blessed with amazing writers that are super open to us, riffing on things and improvising and really like finding something in a really organic way and letting it be what it's gonna be on the day and in that moment. And it feels so natural to us to just walk in there and, between takes, we are actually dissecting our own life problems and giving each other advice.
The closet was always intended to be kind of the safe space for the girls. When I pitched, I said, like, this is their central perk. This is the Ally McBeal bathroom. This is the place where they go to talk things out. And it's kind of interesting that it's become sort of a safe place for the actors.
We are each other's therapists in the show. We don't see us in the therapist office. Oh no, we do. We go to a sex therapist.
Sexologist.
Yeah, we go to a sexologist.
Are you able to borrow things from the closet like the characters do on the show?
I actually stole these shoes from set.
Jimmy Choo's.
Not from the closet. They're like part of Jane's wardrobe, but we've been shooting, so I was like, I don't have anything to wear to ATX. And so Frank Fleming, who's our stylist, he was like, take the Jimmy Choo's. And I was like,
Yeah, Katie, I'm pretty sure they get lost on the way back, right?
yeah. And then I get fired.
Never mind, they were here all along.
Jane could die at the end of the season.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
This is a show that I remember, because there are the horror stories of actors being really difficult and getting written off. And Sarah goes, just know I could send you back to school for your master's at any point in time. And I'm like, duly noted.
I love the title, The Bold Type, and the obvious play on words, but I'm curious to know, were there any other titles that were on the editing list?
Oh my God, what wasn't on the editing list? I mean, we were issues for a long time, and then I think the response was they wanted it to be a more positive title, and I mean, how many Scarlet Women?
Scarlet Women. I remember just sending lists of like hundreds of titles, and everything came back no, and it was, I don't know. I think did you come up with a bold type? The writers did. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Bob, my boyfriend, up in the balcony
Bob!
somewhere.
Hey, Bob, you're the man,
Yeah,
Bob.
Bob. Yeah, it was like a Hail Mary. In like if we didn't come up with something, it was going to be Scarlet Women. I'm like, it cannot be Scarlet Women. And so we were just sitting there and we were like looking at the computer at all the different fonts and coming up with words, and we came up with the bold type. Shout out, Bob.
Melora, the series is obviously inspired by the amazing Cosmopolitan editor Joanna Coles, and your character Jacqueline is loosely based on her. How much time did you get to spend with Joanna and really kind of pull from her essence?
I spent quite a bit of time with her. I mean, I got to go to the offices with Holly and Joanna, which was so much fun, and they showed me around and let me sit in on a where they were showing what is that called when you show the actual.
We actually brought her to one of those board reviews. Yes.
Okay.
With the yeehaw scene.
Yes, right, exactly. So I got to sit and do that and see how everyone kind of interacts and collaborates, and spent a good amount of time in Joanna's office, and there was lots of things going on that day, and also had some social time with Joanna at her place, some social time with Joanna at my place, and Holly, and so it's been very interesting and great to be able to just to get to know her really. Obviously, the character is very different than Joanna. It's not like I'm playing Joanna, but I did want to draw from just her incredible ability to lead with such heart, and she's really what you would call an empowering female boss. And also she's multidimensional, which is part of what drew me to the show and to this character. Sarah and I had multiple conversations really early on before even the pilot even happened. And Joanna is a great example, and I think I'm a good example of somebody who actually is successful in their career, but also successful in their life. And so Joanna, she has 2 kids. She's a powerful woman. She's got a husband of 20 years. I do too, and 2 children as well. And I think it's so in that regard, I really wanted to pull that and make sure that, and Sarah too, that was really a big part of the character, and it is a big part of who Joanna is.
Well, and Melora, would you like to share with our audience your relationship fun fact that you have on the show?
Yes. Well, wonderfully. My real husband in real life, Gilder Jackson, is also a wonderful actor, and he has been cast to play Jacqueline's husband, Ian. And here's the really fun fact, which is that my husband and I just celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary, and just serendipitously, Ian and Jacqueline were having their 20th wedding anniversary on our exact real life 20th wedding anniversary.
They were filming their anniversary dinner on set on their anniversary.
They had like a bottle of champagne.
They had champagne. They were like,
yes, as you do in fantasy land, Hollywood fantasy TV land.
Sarah and Holly, casting the roles of Kat, Sutton, and Jane must have been a tricky process for you, because these are clearly going to be like those friends that we relate to. What was the casting process like on your end? And for you ladies, what was your audition process like?
We saw every girl of this age in Hollywood, because we really wanted, those magnetic personalities that you're just drawn to. And obviously also the chemistry between the 3 girls is so important, which I think has been a huge part of why the show works, is because the 3 of you just have such a natural charisma together. So yeah, we really saw a lot of people.
Well, and just to let you guys know, Megan Fahey, who couldn't be here today, Fahey, who couldn't be here today, she's shooting, but she's fantastic.
Oh my God,
you guys are gonna love
and
her.
She was sort of like our big risk, because we got to meet you guys in person, but Megan self-taped from New York, and those were like, all right, I mean, she seemed kind of good, and so we're like, we needed a 3rd girl to test, so we fly her out, and then she just blew us away in the room.
well, and what's funny is that Aisha and Megan chemistry read together, and for some unknown reason I didn't. And I was like, I guess they were just like, well, we just hope Katie gets along with them.
Honestly, we lucked out because the three of us, I don't know how it happened. We keep getting asked, like, how did you work for the chemistry? And it's like, I don't know. I didn't really. I just kind of showed up.
I knew it was going to work that first weekend that you guys all met up in New York, and I
Yeah.
kept getting drunk selfies from the three of you. I was like, all right, game on.
That I will blame. My boyfriend is in a band, and they were doing a concert in New York, and I was going before we shot the pilot, and Megan lived in New York, so I was like, Megan, do you want to come? And then we were like, Aisha, do you just want to fly from LA and just come? So we all went to my boyfriend's concert, and
Stay thirsty, my friends.
yeah, stay thirsty.
And then my phone was blowing up all night with texts.
That's when you know that you have a cool boss, when you can like drunkenly selfie text them. Like we were
Melora,
like,
we're
how would Jacqueline respond?
Yeah.
How would
my
Jacqueline
God.
respond to getting those?
Oh, how would Jacqueline respond to those?
She just watched us drink champagne in the closet.
Exactly.
Come on.
I think look at Jacqueline's been there, done that, right? So I think she's just thrilled that she has a group of strong, talented, creative young women that she can mentor and who are stepping up to the plate. She challenges them, and I think that all the drunk selfies are all part of what what they're doing and what she's advocating for
I'm
them.
just pitching an episode where we get Jacqueline drunk.
Cool.
Granted.
Yes.
Wait, really? Oh, that's so exciting.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Method here, right? Okay, great. Cool.
Holly, not only are you a co-executive producer, you have such an incredibly badass career. I'm going to get this title right, you guys. She is the head of entertainment and talent division and brand strategy of Hearst magazine, so she knows the thick of it all.
The thick of it. Woo.
What I'm curious about is obviously TV shows, they like to glam up their sets a little bit. How does the set of Scarlet compare to those real life magazine workplaces that you have been in?
God, I don't know if any of you have had the pleasure of being to New York and being in Hearst Tower. It was designed by Norman Foster. It is. You would think that if Oliver Stone needed a set to do this thing, this is what he would have picked. I mean, if you had all the money in the world, this is the building you would have built. So we are incredibly spoiled, and I cannot believe how much the Scarlet office looks very much like the office that I go to work every day in. And especially Melora's office and the similarities to Joanna's, or Jacqueline's, I should say. And for those of you who have yet to see Melora walk on a treadmill desk in 4-inch heels, it's coming, and she frickin' kills it. Yeah.
Katie, we're really first being introduced to this intimidating world through Jane's eyes as she kind of moves up in the ranks of Scarlet. Can you speak a little bit about her journey in season 1?
Man, well, I don't really know. I think you can gather just from what you've seen of Jane. Jane is a little bit type A. This is a job that she has wanted her entire life, and to finally get the opportunity to be a writer at this magazine, she's going to try to take every opportunity. And it was fun before we shot, getting to go to the Cosmo offices and getting to actually speak with writers and ask them questions like, how many times a day do your ideas get shut down? And they're like, every day, 100 times a day. And I'm like, great to know. But you're going to see Jane really just trying to find her place at this magazine. What do I want to write about? What is important to me? What do I care about? And she'll have some success with her articles. And I think it just, all of these girls throughout this season are going to do a lot of soul searching. I mean, this show, we're in our messy years of our 20s. I kind of always talk about Sex and the City in relation to this show, because Sex and the City showed these women in their 40s, navigating their way through New York and their lives, but they already had careers. They already kind of had a solid idea of who they were, and these girls are kind of just trying to find their place. So I think Jane is really trying to figure that out and is trying to put on this front that she knows what she's doing and she knows what she's writing about, but really it is kind of a deeper struggle. And I think no matter what industry or job you have, you go through that. So I think that's why they're also so relatable.
Definitely. Aisha, Kat is the director of social media at Scarlet, which is a very important role, but a relatively new one to this magazine world. Do you feel like she really has to fight for the respect of her older colleagues to really have them take her seriously in this millennial-centric role?
Yeah, I personally don't know how to use my phone very well, so I'm like the one that knows how to use Snapchat and stuff. And in reality,
Like, we drunk texted Sarah?
honestly, I'm terrible. I'm trying to be better. But yeah, no, I mean, and that's a big part of, I think, any young person starting their career. There's an element of that where you feel this need. You're like, I want to be respected, and I want to be good at my job, and I want people to recognize me and recognize that I'm working hard. And it doesn't all come immediately. You do have to work for it, and you will make mistakes, and you will mess up from time to time. But I think that's really the story of the show, and not just for Kat, but also for Jane and Sutton too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sarah, can you speak a bit about Sutton's journey and what her biggest challenges are going to be as she tries to navigate this relationship with the thought process that people might think that she's screwing up in her career?
Yeah, Sutton's big journey, she's the one who hasn't figured it out yet. And I think we all went through that in our 20s where one friend always got kind of left behind. And at the beginning of the season, she's the one that got left behind. Both of her friends have been promoted, and it's sort of like, okay, why not me? And, she also has that assistant trap thing of being such a good assistant that nobody's going to promote her until she speaks up and asks for it. So a big part of her journey this season is finding her voice and learning to speak up for herself. And how complicated that becomes when she is dating somebody who, by all appearances, she is screwing up. And that's what the Cosmo girls actually call it. They don't say screwing. They say something we can't say on Freeform.
Freeform is progressive, not that progressive.
Yes, exactly. And so it's how do I navigate finding my voice, finding my identity while being with this guy who could put that identity in jeopardy.
I love that you talk about finding your voice, because the subway screaming scene is so unique. I've never seen it on any other TV show, and it's going to be, I think, such an iconic moment. How did that come about?
Oh my gosh, that came about when we brought the show to Freeform. And I lived in New York, not for very long, but just while I was a writer on a show there. And it was just such a dream place to live. And I lived near a subway stop that had, the express train would blow through. And it would be so loud that you had to stand there with your fingers in your ears. And every time it went through, I just wanted to scream. And I was never brave enough. But I just always had that image in my mind. And so it was very early on. We were at... Dave and I were with Simran and Julie, two of the execs, just sort of talking through things, and I talked about this image of these three girls in gowns, because also for me what that is these girls live this very much upstairs, downstairs lifestyle where they have this fabulous work environment. They go to these fabulous parties, they wear these couture gowns, and then they ride the subway home to their tiny little shitty Brooklyn studios. And so just the idea of that couture in that subway and just letting all that angst out.
Melora, I love that you have played so many diverse characters over the course of your career. You've done so many amazing parts, and so it's fun to see you step into this new kind of role. I'm curious to know from Katie and Aisha, what have you guys been able to pull and glean from working with Melora?
Oh, I handed the microphone this way. I didn't realize. Oh my gosh, so much. Okay. I have to admit two things. First of all, you know that I'm obsessed with The Office, and Jan is one of my favorite characters I was about to swear. I was about to say the F word. I told myself no potty mouth at these panels. Yeah. But also, I was watching like a music video the other day for Don't Worry Baby.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Don't worry, baby. And like Melora's hair is like fiercely blowing in the wind, and like.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, like we were talking about her like she's not here, but like she just like the woman like then the ABC Dirty Dancing thing came out the other day, and we all learned that like there was a 1988 TV show, and Melora was Baby in the TV show. She's like an unbelievable dancer, and then she was like in the lead of Les Mis and the Hollywood Bowl. I'm like, what can you not do?
Yeah.
But just like getting, I
What
mean,
can't you
getting the
do?
opportunity to like come to set, and because often we will look at scenes and we don't just take them at face value and say, okay, I'll just say the lines and stand on this piece of tape. Like, we really talk about things and we really talk it through, and it's such an honor to be able to talk it through with someone who's had such a long career and who, like, every iconic character and show, it's like, she's sitting next to me.
Yeah. I think it's also a thing of like, I know everybody who's a fan of anyone feels this way. Like, you hope that you meet people that you're a fan of and that they are nice people. Like, you just are like, God, please don't ruin this for me, and just please don't be shitty. And like, she is lovely in every way, shape, and form.
She's classy and professional as hell, and so you guys, I think, it makes it so that you guys can't act out. I did this on purpose.
No, because we'll
I
go
brought
for our
in someone
masters.
classy and professional. I dare you.
Also,
You will
like,
get a master's.
This is like a dream job because I mean, I dress in the same thing. I have like I like crop top jeans every day. So like, I get to come to set and like wear these amazing clothes. Why would I do anything to jeopardize this situation, Sarah? I am in a great spot right
I got to
now.
borrow Jimmy Choos from my job.
But so, Melora, as you can see, everybody is such a big fan of you. What has it been like for you to play this role now, and what do you think of your wardrobe?
What was the last part of the?
What do you think of your wardrobe?
Oh, my wardrobe. Yeah, my wardrobe's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Frank Fleming is just, I mean, really every single, you didn't really see it yet, but in every single episode to come, I literally wear Gucci, Christian Dior, Alexander McQueen. I mean, I'm usually at all times wearing at least $10,000 to $20,000 worth of clothes and jewelry.
I don't know how they trust us with this.
It's quite extraordinary.
Things are going missing.
So I'm enjoying that. No, I just wanted to. I don't remember the question.
What has it been like? What has it been like for you playing so
distracted.
many different roles, and like why was this your next choice?
Yes. Okay. So yes, I this was really important to me because I think Transparent really taught me that it's really wonderful to do great entertainment. There's no doubt, but it's even more wonderful to do great entertainment that actually is doing good in the world. And yeah, really. And I realized that that's really, really important to me as a person, as an individual. And so when Sarah called me and said, read this script, and I did, and I thought the script was really well written, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought there was so much fun and so much youthful turmoil and joy and, all those wonderful things that we've all been through. But we really sat down, and I really was very adamant to know what, beyond the fact that the show was well written and fun, I wanted to make sure that we were on the same page about the feminist part of this, which really is I think a strong issue for Sarah, I found out, and is a very strong issue for me in terms of, I am kind of I would call myself a latecomer feminist. I think I've really been an acting feminist all my life. My mother certainly is, but I wouldn't have ever thought of myself as a feminist really until recently. Transparent, I think, maybe was the beginning of that in terms of, and feminism is one of those things I agree with Sheryl Sandberg. It is a conversation that needs to continue. It's a conversation that needs to expand. I think the show can do that. I think it does that in a fun way. I think it does that. I love that it's couched in fashion and beauty and makeup and sex and youth, and yet we're really talking about these really important issues that do not exclude men, they include men. And I think that women are going to save the world, and I believe that the only way that women are going to save the world is to be able to learn to work together, to support each other, the way these girls support each other, and also to have mentors like Jacqueline, who are strong bosses, who are have integrity, have heart, are nurturing, who are challenging to their young employees, and also that we can all work with men together, hand in hand, and that's why I took this part.
Well, and I love that you brought that. Yeah.
And
I love that you.
I would love to add something because
Yeah.
Melora really, truly has just been such a champion of everything that Jacqueline preaches. And last weekend when Wonder Woman came out, she texted everyone saying, go see it this weekend, support this film about a strong woman directed by a strong woman. And I wanted to bring that up because aren't we in the site of the place that did the all-woman Wonder Woman screening?
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like the perfect place to be premiering this show.
Yeah. And also she was talking about like the strong, that it includes strong men. I think that's something that gets lost on a lot of people. Like you hear women being like, I don't want to call myself a feminist because that means that women hate men. And I think that's so false. I think obviously feminism is just the belief that all of us are just equal. And like I am so lucky in my life that I have men who believe in that equality and accept me as a strong woman and just are for that fight. And we're so lucky to have Sam Page, who plays Richard, and Matt Ward, who plays Alex, as strong men on our show who support strong women. Yeah. And I think that's another important thing to see.
We're going to start opening it up to you all in the audience. So if you have a question, just raise your hand and speak loud and proud. Do we have any to start us off? Because if not, I have so many more questions. All right, I'm going to let you guys think about it. Okay, right here.
So a lot of us are exposed to Joanna Coles through Project One. But one of the things I always notice is that she can tell you the worst. Oh my God.
Holly can talk to that. What's she said about some of your outfits?
I mean, how much time do we have, people? This is going to turn into a therapy session for me. Yes. I mean, every once in a while she'll come by my office and she'll be like, oh, I love that sweater. And she'll come back like 10 minutes later and she's like, that sweater isn't working for you. It's just not. I know I said I loved it. It's terrible. You've got to take it off. You give it to your mother. Or I'll get this. Did you think this color was working for you? And it's like, well, yeah, I did. I've never met someone who can deliver bad news in the way that she can. She can literally be like, you're fired. You've lost your home. We're going to take that from you too. But here, we're going to walk you out. No, I'm going to need your phone. You have nothing, but, have a good day. And you're like, God, she's lovely. It's just, thank you. Yes.
When I first met Joanna, that's so funny that you would say that. When I first met her, she came to the set of the pilot, the big
Gala.
The gala. Thank you.
She's in it. If you didn't notice.
Yeah, she's in the gala, right? She walks in. They say, Joanna, let me take a picture. Anyway, she said to me exactly that thing. Because I was not dressed in my wardrobe yet. I had just done hair and makeup, and I came onto set to kind of see what was going on. And Joanna's there, and she goes, so what is this shirt with this paint splatter on it? Because I was wearing sort of like a little, I don't know, like shirt from Zara with like white paint splatters on it. I'm like, Joanna, I'm on set. I'm just hanging out until I have to put my tight, uncomfortable dress on.
I was in yoga pants and a hoodie because we were shooting all night, and we had some words about that. And then, so she's in like a Stella McCartney gown, I think,
Yes, it was beautiful.
that she had brought from New York. Her husband was wearing a tux because they were doing a cameo, and then I went across the street with them to have a drink in my yoga pants and hoodie, and I have never felt so insecure in my life.
That is really
Can
cute.
I just say traveling with her in the airport is just, she's like, oh my God, is that a lumberjack? Like someone's like, she's like, oh, Halls, look over here. And I'm like, indoor voice. Like there's got to be an indoor voice. We famously at one of the White House Correspondents' dinners, I took her over to say hi to Jesse Tyler Ferguson, who plays Mitch on Modern Family, who's the loveliest and a dear friend. And he was wearing something from Tie the Knot, which is he and his husband's Justin Makita's line that supports marriage equality. Long story short, it was this little sort of, I don't even know what it was, crocheted sort of flower pin. And, I said, oh, and Joanna, and this is Jesse. And she went, well, that's awfully arts and crafts, isn't it? And he was just like, shit, did she just insult me? Like, it's just, you can't.
Does that mean we're never going to see Jacqueline in yoga pants and Uggs?
No way. In fact, I did do a scene on the treadmill where I was doing a scene and walking, and because Joanna actually does have that treadmill desk in her office, so does Jacqueline, and they brought me tennis shoes, and I looked at them and I said, "There's no way that Joanna wears tennis shoes if she's, I mean, it could be barefoot, but there's no way. So I'm texting Holly, I'm texting Joanna. I'm like, is it heels or is it tennis shoes or is it bare feet? And Holly's like, it's always heels. Yeah, I don't think there'll ever be sweatpants or tennis shoes.
I will never make that mistake again, ever.
Jeans, I think there are jeans. There are jeans for one scene. There's jeans.
I'm like cringing right now. I have flip flops in my bag. Like I'm like, do we have any other fan questions? Hi, right down here.
Sarah, can you talk a little bit about the development of the pilot, and is there anything from the beginning to the end that sort of surprised you? Any new things that might have happened? Can you just sort of describe where you started to how you got here?
Let's see, anything that surprised me? That is a very good question. I'm trying to think of anything.
She was so prepared.
I mean, when you're developing a show in the first season, it's just constant surprise, and you're like trying to just get the characters and find.
Oh, you
the
mean
show
from the pilot into the season?
Is that what is that your question?
Your original concept of the show to the pilot?
Well, I mean, the original concept of the show, we originally developed this for NBC, and and it was obviously a very different show, and the Alex character was actually the center of it. To make it more accessible to an NBC audience, it was sort of this fish out of water story of a guy who'd been fired from the Wall Street Journal and got plunked in the middle of Scarlet Magazine. But then
Not exactly a feminist show at that point, right?
It still was, and it was very much about the Jacqueline character's relationship with him and sort of pushing him to thinking he's entering this place of fluff to realize how deeply, deeply important a magazine like this is. So I think the biggest surprise in the development was just the friendship of the three girls, because it was originally supposed to be a very like West Wingy workplace type show, and those people are work friends, but like these ladies are diehard friends, and I think that was sort of the biggest surprise and delight of the development process.
I will also say, so I saw an earlier cut of the pilot, and so I just saw like a newer version right now. It was just a couple little tweaks and stuff, but my favorite thing that they did change was during that Beyonce scene, Jacqueline looks and this wasn't in the original, no shit. Like,
and by the way, that was the one take she did of that, and thank God it was on my back because it was such a surprise. Like she said it, and I went... And then I was like, they're keeping that, right?
That was just an improvised little moment, actually.
I'm so glad it made it in there because it was even better. We have time for a couple more fan questions if we have any in the audience.
Ask.
Hi, right over here.
Hey, okay, so huge fan of both Aisha and Katie from the shows, taking it perfectly. But how was Keisha of those coming off of isolation of two really like heartwarming shows and important? How did it feel coming into a new pilot? Did you feel more like wary about it, or what was that process emotionally?
great question.
For me, I found out that Faking It got canceled a week before our finale aired, and it was super heartbreaking for a whole bunch of reasons. And I just remember like crying to my boyfriend, being like, I don't know when I'm gonna work again, and like and it's to work on a show like that was so. It was one of those pieces of art that was doing better in the world. It was doing better for the world and for people, and it meant so much to so many people, which was amazing to be a part of. So, you always hope that you're going to go to a show that is similar in that. And it is a little bit like when you go from being a part of one family and then you're going to another family and you're like, okay, how does this work again? Oh gosh,
they like me.
I hope they like me. Like, it's like going to a new school. It's like being the new kid at a new school, but then you learn that everybody's new. But it was, I'm blessed because everybody on Faking It was so lovely and so wonderful. And in the industry, that's not always going to be the case. You're not always going to work with someone who's wonderful. You're not always going to get along with everybody. And so I was very nervous coming into this, and I was very grateful and blessed to find that everybody was going to be just as lovely, and the set experience was going to be something so different but so wonderful in the same regard.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many stories that haven't been told yet, need to be told. There are so many groups of people that are underrepresented, you know. I know for myself, I grew up watching TV and not seeing myself reflected and kind of wondering why I didn't see myself on the TV or in movies or whatever, and or anyone I did see was there for a split second and then they were gone. And I feel so incredibly blessed to have been a part of a few shows that I feel really passionately about. I don't know if anyone here watched Chasing Life, but that was oh, cool.
Back at Freeform.
That was another one that I loved that show so much. Still love that show. Still love that cast. I live right around the corner from Haley, who played Brenna on the show. We're so tight, and you know, I can't believe that I am actually able to influence people and be a part of these shows that are sending a really positive message. And as much as it's really hard to say goodbye to things sometimes, you know, that's life. You got to move on to the next thing. But I'm going to do the Sweet Vicious panel after this. So
yeah, and oh my gosh, and I have become such a fan of Sweet Vicious because you were filming it when we cast you, and in fact, my friend Amanda Lasher is one of the EPs on that show, and Aisha was a series. You weren't a series regular; you were guest star.
Yeah, but they kept asking me back. They kept being like, "Okay, do this episode," because I actually heard about Sweet Vicious through a friend. A friend of mine was writing on it, and he was like, "You should be our Dopra," and I was like, "What's Dopra?" Yes, dope Oprah, for anyone who's wondering. And yeah, so I've always considered myself a really political person, a feminist, but also just about inclusivity in general, not just gender, like male, female. You know, it's so much more nuanced than that, and I'm happy to see everyone realizing that and see that reflected in the shows that I watch. You know, Transparent. It's so much bigger. It's so much of a bigger conversation now, and to be a part of that conversation is it's amazing. I don't really have any words. It's great.
Well, Katie spoke to this already just a little bit, but one of the things that I really loved so much about the show and resonated with was the fact that it's so incredibly relatable to those girls who are starting out in your career. There's such an awkward period between when you graduate from college and you're like, yes, real world, and you're like, oh snap, this hard. But there are very few shows out there that show that awkward period and really fighting to get to that next level of your career. For anyone who wants to take it, why was it important for you to be a part of a show that shows this struggle?
Oh my gosh, I just am bursting with excitement that we get to do this because there aren't a lot of shows and there aren't a lot of networks that let you show this period of your life, which is why, again, when it moved from NBC to Freeform, I was like, no, we're going to throw out that whole script. I just spit all over you. I'm like, we're going to throw out that whole script. We're going to make this about these 3 girls in their 20s because I always refer to your mid-20s as the junior high of adulthood. Because you kind of think you're one of the big kids, but you just have no idea what you're doing, and everything is so awkward, and everything is so dramatic, and every decision is such a big deal. And it's just such this uniquely horrible and wholeheartedly wonderful time of your life all at the same time, where your friendships are just more intense than they ever are. And it's just, I think it's such a special and interesting time. And also now to be able to look back on and write it with a little bit of distance, it's been really special for me.
I just have to say, I'm going to sound like a dork here, but just a shout out to Freeform for anyone that is watching what is going on at that network right now. I mean, Carrie Burke, Tom Aschheim, Simran Sethi, they are just crushing it with the new content that they are churning out, and it is such a freaking exciting thing to be a part of that. So it's kind of a no-brainer, and they have been the ones that have let us run and make the show what it is. And, you know, we couldn't be more proud to be doing it.
Yeah. It is a funny thing to, because I feel like when I did Faking It, I was, you know, in my 20s playing 16. So part of me could be like, I could look back on that time and remember what I needed to learn back then, but I didn't know yet. But now with this show, I'm I'm doing the show and I am in my mid-20s. So everything Jane is going through, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening in my life right now.
We have moments of being like, are they bugging our apartment?
Yeah, I'm like, are they?
When we're like laying on the floor talking about our problems.
I'm just gonna say,
That's how we get our stories.
I'm just gonna say, like, I am a little type A like Jane, not as extreme, but I am a little bit. I am like a self-sabotager. Like, I overthink absolutely everything, and we were talking about one
Sorry, just
storyline.
want to point out that Katie
Oh,
has
God.
been carrying around the set a book called The
The
Subtle Art of Not Giving a F.
See, my boyfriend is here. He's so wonderful that he like knows what's going on here and knows the like never-ending loophole of overthinking that happens up here. And he's like, "You need this book. I'm sending it to you now. It's getting to you tomorrow." I'm like, "Great." But we were talking about a storyline that is happening with Jane in what we're filming right now. And he's like, "Oh yeah," and like she's what she's doing here is she's just self-sabotaging. And I was like, "Yep, that doesn't sound like anybody that I know." You're writing my life, Sarah.
Yeah, and they're like, here you go, be in love. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. It's terrible.
I could chat with all of you lovely ladies all day, but unfortunately that is all the time that we have. But I want to thank you all so much for coming out to today's Bold Type panel. And what you saw today was just the first part of the premiere. There's going to be a special 2-hour premiere on Tuesday, July 11th on Freeform at 9 p.m. after the Fosters. So guys, make sure you tune into that. Thank you so much. Enjoy your Saturday at ATX. Have a great day, y'all.